I'd say we're only halfway along on our journey on that. But at least now, rather than it being a function where people would come to because it needed something, we're much more push out. So here's our resourcing strategy for the next 12 months. So we think we're going to recruit 600 people in this year. However, we've recently been acquired. There's projections that there's big investment, so that could be upwards of 700. We typically know, looking at the data for the last 2 years looking at trend analysis of where the turnover is, we know we're going to recruit probably about 200 care workers, 150 teaching assistants, 50 teachers. We can now, so we've had Tess in to start looking at bulk buying, negotiating, advertorials, Facebook. We've already got marketing on board to start thinking about what some of those campaigns are and when. We don't have to wait till there's a vacancy to know what we want to do with recruitment. We've got a full 12 months planned of how we think we're going to get those 600 in the business. Because if we don't, I've worked for other firms before, so if we take a law firm, if you don't have a person and it takes you another 6 months to find them, it's not the end of the world. You just won't bill for those 6 months. If we don't have that care worker or we don't have that teacher, we can't provide care to that child. Or more worryingly, we spent, Chatham House rules, folks, but we spent over $2.5 million in temps because, if you don't have a care worker there or they don't turn up or they leave, you've got to provide the one-to-one care for that child. And bearing in mind we're an education business, we can't claim VAT back. So even if it was at cost, the fact that the agency charged 20% on top, we can't claim it back. So it's on average about 50% more expensive to have a temp in that role than it is to have our permanent people. So whilst we've been able to recruit, we've got to make sure that we minimise our temp agency spend. And again, you only need to save a couple of temps and the business is on board with, HR, here you go. Because my aspiration is for every pound that they give me in budget, I'd like to generate £2-3 worth of profit back to the business. That's really the goal of the function. I would say, if I think of, whilst Chris says I've worked in lots of other organisations, the one, methodology I apply wherever I go, whatever sector it is, I truly get to understand what my business does and how it makes money and how it generates value. From there, I know my numbers. I can tell you how many employees I've got. I can tell you how many's going. I can tell you how many's leaving. I can tell you what my budget is, what my overtime, what my temp spend. I know my numbers so that when I sit there opposite the CEO or the CFO, I can hold my own on any conversation they want to have about the impact anything we do has to that EBITDA. So that's where, unfortunately, I think as a profession, it's not something that, I've seen in abundance, although I do think it's fair to say it's changing. But I think you have to be a business person first. You just happen to bring the expertise in how to maximise the capability and the performance and the effectiveness of your people, which in our instance is what our service offering is. We don't sell a pen, we don't sell a pad, or a computer. We sell the ability and capability and passion of our people to provide amazing care and education, not just good, outstanding care and education.